Pound.
In a world
Shut the hell up.
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100, man.
What is good, Panther fans? You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Playoff football is here, and boy, it has not disappointed. Jaden Daniels with the greatest rookie campaign ever, arguably now with a playoff victory. Even C.J. Stroud is shouting it out and rooting for him. The Lions have fallen. Ben Johnson is going to the Bears, and the Panthers. Oh, did I forget to mention that Cody's man crush, Josh Allen, is just destroying it and destroying it and destroying it? Well, the Panthers are rearranging contracts right now. We're not in the playoffs, but there's a lot of optimism. We talked about it last week, and this week we're going to talk about some of these restructures and how it positions us for the offseason and the upcoming draft. My name's Tony Dunn. That's my wheelman, Cody Lack. How you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, what's up, brother? I'm going to switch sides with you here since I'm sitting a little lower today and riding dirty, you know what I'm saying? But, hey, man, listen, I'm happy to be here on another Tuesday night. Not much Panther news, but listen, man, that doesn't ever stop us from putting together a great show. We're going to talk about these playoffs, talk about some roster moves that we can make that I think could really help this team. We'll talk about Jonathan Brooks probably not playing all of next year. And, yeah, man, not a whole lot going on in the world, huh? But I know what is going on. The C3 Panthers podcast is going to rock with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them, Tony Dunn. We got the brand ambassador, Diesel Skills in the building. Kristen Butler, my man D Money in the building. Love you, D. What's up, brother? Panther Gal 73, Tim Estes, Tim Stellings, and our boy Joey the Blind Panther. Wakanda forever. Tony, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. It's a snowy Tuesday for a lot of people listening to the show. Snowing here in Greenville, North Carolina. Could be up to 2 to 4 inches, they're saying here, which is crazy. They will shut down Greenville forever. But you can't shut down this podcast. Cody Lack, tonight's show, Panthers rearrange contracts and expectations.
That's right, because we are doing a little bit of both of those things. Panther expectations are normally not very high, but the way the season ended gave us a little bit of hope, and we're going to talk about some of those expectations and what we might be able to do on the contract front as well. But we appreciate each and every single one of you for hanging out with us. Tony Dunn, let's jump into the show tonight. First, let's get to some of the most relevant news facing the Panthers. Panthers, let me enlarge it so I can actually read what I'm looking at. Panthers get huge Jonathan Brooks injury update to start third week of the offseason. One of the biggest storylines this season for the Carolina Panthers was the potential NFL debut for rookie running back Jonathan Brooks. The Panthers took Brooks in the second round of the 2024 NFL draft, despite the young running back suffering a torn ACL in his final year of college. The Longhorn running back didn't participate in preseason or training camp, but he eventually made his NFL debut in week 12. The 21-year-old running back tore his ACL again in his right knee, ending his rookie campaign. So, Tony, this was a very important pick for us, being in the second round. And now with him finally undergoing the surgery, getting it fixed, it looks as though he will not be available at all for us in the 2025 season. We sort of expected this, but a lot of Panther fans are sort of feeling buyer's remorse on Jonathan Brooks. And some even say that it would still behoove us to go get another running back somewhere at some point. Tony, what do you think about this, man?
Look, I guess anytime you go and buy something and like you go buy a car and it turns out to be a lemon, or you have issues right away, I guess the easy thing is to say buyer's remorse, and it's just this is just disappointing aspect of football. It's the crapshoot of the NFL, is injuries can ruin great careers. And so yeah, there's a sadness that comes there. You can get into the what if, but the Carolina Panthers, I try. What I'm trying to continue to look back on is just like, why did they draft who they drafted? And they saw something that was a player, like a guy that is a guy. The dude. Yeah. What do the kids say? Him? That is him or whatever?
That's him. Sir Himothy.
Yeah. And so what I would like to do is, for me, what I try to remember when these things happen is, this crap happens, but I'm trying to think of what Dan Morgan saw at that moment and why he made the pick. And just to have faith that at that time, you did what you thought was best, and that this is unfortunate. And also, we've learned enough from the history of the Carolina Panthers alone that injuries can be problematic, but there's also guys that have come out of it before, right? And, you just think of Thomas Davis doing the 3 surgeries. He's like the first player to ever do it. So while it's sad, it sucks that Jonathan Brooks won't, is not going to be a dynamic addition to this offense in the foreseeable future. It sucks for a young man struggling with, with these challenges as he's trying to make his career. I just don't think it's really helpful for us psychologically and emotionally to just say we shouldn't have done it. We shouldn't have done it. We shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be halfway through his rookie contract by the time we even get to see him. So 2026 is looking to be his year where he shows some sign of life. Again, Tony, we've had these conversations before, but this is why I'm kind of a stickler at the running back position. So many good running backs go later in the draft. They end up going undrafted, or they end up getting picked up in the, somewhere between rounds 4 and 7, and they end up producing and doing really well. So, and then you have things like this happens. And I think it also kind of reminds you of that, too. It's like, dude, spending such a high draft pick, and a second-round pick is a high draft pick, on a player who was coming off of an ACL tear. It's, I don't know. I would be willing to bet that this is the type of move that will make Dan Morgan change his approach in the future.
Well, yeah, I think you're going to come our way and say, what type of, when you're making these picks, there's so much, it's just kind of like a risk analysis in a sense, and dollar cost averaging and things. So yeah, this might influence the way he goes forward about approaching players coming off of injury. But you can also say, on one hand, all of these players that have turned out to be good players from rounds 4 through 6, but you could also talk about players who were drafted high that have made a tremendous impact on their teams. Look at King Henry, right, who was drafted in the first round for the Tennessee Titans and has just been a stud. Jahmyr Gibbs is out there crushing it. These things have happened. So I think I just would say, hopefully Dan Morgan takes this information and learns or kind of adds it to his repertoire, but it doesn't make him gun shy, or he doesn't get – we shouldn't get too locked into one position only. And you've said this a lot too about like, not, I guess just because you failed at drafting a quarterback here doesn't mean you shouldn't do it again. You don't want to get like, just because I guess a broken heart syndrome to where you don't think you can love anymore.
Yeah, I always say, like, don't judge a man by what another man couldn't do.
Right.
Just because a player gets injured and hurt or didn't live up to an expectations doesn't necessarily mean that a future player is going to, fall victim to the same thing. But I don't know, man. It does leave me curious about what they're going to do at the running back position.
Yeah.
So you added this. This is top 5 teams with the most offensive assets. And you see a lot of the teams that you're used to seeing at the bottom there. The New England Patriots, the Las Vegas Raiders, Chicago Bears, Tennessee Titans, and the New York Jets. This sort of runs in tandem.
with this right here.
Yeah, the lowest.
I love this one. I love this one.
The lowest salary cap of all the NFL teams. You have the Saints at the very bottom at minus
Negative.
52.
They're $52 million over the cap.
That's absurd. How do you even get that far?
Well, hopefully the cap goes up. I mean, I guess don't they do it every year? So that number will naturally change a little. But yeah, is that these guys, they're always playing with this funny money, dude.
No, I know. Yeah, and they're always doing voodoo to be able to wipe it off the books and be able to store their team up, man. I don't know how they do it. The Browns, that has to be all of Deshaun and his terrible contract, I'd imagine. And then the Falcons sitting down there too. So two of our division rivals sitting in salary cap hell. Don't mind if I do.
That's why I put this in. There's two reasons I wanted to talk about this. Is one, let's just as maybe we're entering a time, and we've talked about this before we had the struggles of this past season, is that us trying to build an ascending, strong team, a team that's built for winning over the long, sustainable winning. We're doing it at the time. We're climbing while other teams in our division are descending, right? Yeah. So you can look at this as the Saints and the Falcons have some real challenges beyond just who their team that they've put together and the way they're trying to build their team for the future. They have challenges in actually continuing to add pieces and build upon that. But then I think the other thing that we could come away from is, look, Cleveland Browns and Seahawks need to shed some money. And could DK Metcalf be a trade target? Could who's the guy that we want for the defensive end?
Myles Garrett, the best dude. He is truly the next version of a Julius Peppers. You know what I mean? Like, that guy is him.
Yeah. And the other thing is we need we might need a backup quarterback if we don't stick with Andy Dalton. Jameis Winston, baby.
You just want the interviews and the hilarity that ensues.
Yes, I want to just hang out.
I love Jameis. Yeah, who doesn't love Jameis? We need to figure out how to befriend him and just hang out with him and get him to pray for us and stuff.
Yeah, so this is good news. Is that if we can't have good things, it's nice that the people we don't like can't have good things. We're gonna have some good things, but F the Saints, F the Falcons. Tampa,
on every day that ends with a Y. And no, you know what I've realized? We've been too easy on Tampa.
Yeah.
We need to keep the same energy for all three of them fucks.
Yeah.
Fuck them all if they're in the NFC South. But so moving on to this, now that the Ravens lost to the Bills in the playoffs, I do believe that every one of our draft spots is indeed finalized now with that 5th round pick being 162. So you are looking at the Carolina Panthers draft picks. We have pick 8, 57, 74, 109, 112, 139, 145, 162, and 227. And listen, I'm a believer, Tony, that this is the most important year in the history of Dan Morgan's career, being in the front office. This next one right here is really going to determine the trajectory of who he can be as a roster builder and as a team builder. We're getting ready to go through some of the things that we can do to free up some money here in a second. But looking at these draft picks and knowing how many different positions that we need, this is going to be an incredible opportunity for Dan Morgan to cement himself and really bring in that next injection of young talent that the Panthers are so desperately in need of.
You also got the picks to do it, and not the volume. I don't care about the volume of picks. What is this? 9 picks? 2, 4,
9, yes. 9.
I don't care about the volume. What I see it as this is we have 5 picks that could be influential. You're talking about all the way through pick 112. I know that once you're getting in the 4th round, but you're not at the end of the 4th round. That's the middle of the 4th. So you've got a crap ton of picks in good spots, in a sense. 57's a long way to wait after number 8. But what you need, and what you're talking about, Cody, is something that really gave the Saints that 3rd win that they had in that run that went in. and they nailed that draft where they got like 4 starters in one draft. So really, I think what we're looking for and what the Panthers need to really get the momentum, keep building and get that momentum flowing the right way is 4 out of those first 5 picks need to hit.
Yeah, dude, listen, those top 5 need to hit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like 100%. And that's why I'm saying this is so important because, traditionally, and all these are sort of, made up make believe stuff, but traditionally in years past, if you've drafted a quarterback, the 3rd year is when you want to see that turnaround. And we're not going to be able to see that turnaround from this offense and for Bryce Young to be able to really take that next step going forward if this defense is always making the offense have to play catch up. So this is going to be an incredibly important offseason for Dan Morgan and the Carolina Panthers. Tony, do you want to go forward or do you want to take some calls? We have 5 calls on the docket.
Let's go ahead and get into some calls. But before we do, I want to remind you guys that the C3 Panthers podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. We got a few more weeks of hanging out and playing Underdog, and we would like for you guys to join us. If you go to download the Underdog app today and use the promo code C3P, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. You can go get on that playoff football that we so want to be a part of, or that we wish we were, but now you get to bet without a heart invested in a player or a team. Now, not bet, excuse me. You get to make some fantasy football money, right? Put your football knowledge to use with Underdog Fantasy Football. If you go to Underdog and download the app, you use that promo code C3P, you can go and tell me, is Jaden Daniels going to be the man? Is he Himothy? Are the Commanders going to go to the Super Bowl at this point? I guess what would here? Let me go ahead and just look up some of the numbers right here for you guys to see what we could be working with. Go to Underdog, use the promo code C3P, help support the podcast, and make some money and have some fun now. You can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. You can do basketball right now. Get up there. Jason Tatum right now is a promotion for me. What? He scores 1 point, you get a winner, and then you can just go get Jokic and probably make some money there. Let's see what the NFL has got going on for playoffs coming up. Saquon touchdown. You want a Saquon touchdown? Easy. More than Jaden Daniels, 284 yards passing. And rushing. You have passing and rushing. I think I can handle that. Josh Allen. Will Josh Allen have 228.5 passing yards against the Kansas City Chiefs? I'm hitting more than on that. Go to Underdog Fantasy. Man, Saquon. All these guys are killing. It's so fun. Make a little money watching the playoffs. Cody Lack, do I need to read this disclaimer or are you there?
No, I got you, buddy. You must be 18 years of age, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, and 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Avoid in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE New York or text HOPE New York to 467-369. Thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the C3 Panthers podcast. Tony, let's jump into some of these calls, brother.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
The charismatic CK, and yes, the incomparable Cody Lack. What's going on, boys and Panther Nation? C3 Legion, it's the Hope Dealer checking in real quick. Hey, I saw an interesting article that came out on Sports Illustrated online yesterday saying that the Carolina Panthers are named the best team fit for a certain particular NFL backup quarterback. And that quarterback is none other than Sam Darnold Dimes. I'm curious to see what y'all boys think about that Sports Illustrated article. Y'all think we should try to bring Sammy D back or roll with Andy Dalton? Curious to know y'all thoughts on that. Also, what other free agent acquisitions should we be looking at considering our salary cap situation? I know we got a little bit of money to play with. I know we need to extend some people too, though. So curious to know y'all thoughts. Also, last thing I want to say, man, they better re-sign our mascot, JJ Jansen, man. That's my dude, man. That cart talk. I love that cart talk. But anyway, man, love y'all boys. Love y'all C3 Legion. It's the Hope Dilla. Everybody out there, keep pounding.
Keep pounding. So, Tony, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Minnesota having a difficult decision to make. Doesn't seem so difficult now.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that the last two performances from Sam and how bad that went made you wonder what this team's going to look like next year with J.J. McCarthy. That being said, does anyone see Sam wanting to get paid to go be a backup again?
I don't know if he sees himself as a backup, and I don't necessarily agree with you, Cody, on that. Is that I think if what it did is diminish his value. I think it made the decision made it a little bit easier for the Vikings to go, you know what? Let's keep Sam Darnold here on a 2-year contract, have a real competition with the idea that we don't have to rush JJ along at this point. But now Sammy can't command the big contract and a long deal anymore. I would have a hard time believing after he played so well that in his mind he sees himself as a backup. And I also don't know if it's a great fit for a team to bring in a backup that has had that success at this moment. I think you want to bring – that's why I like Jameis, dude. Bring in Jameis. He's a backup now. That's what he is. His role is a backup, and he is nothing more than that. But he is a guy that might not destroy the ship if you have to go a couple of weeks. I don't think you want any doubt in Bryce's mind or any disconcertion with us about where we feel at. But we do need to have a guy, and we need to have a guy that's capable, not incapable. Do you think that his time in Minnesota is completely done now, and that they're willing to just – with that success that they had to just run it all now on a rookie? Basically,
they would have to pay him. So you're going to have to figure out what to do with him. He's not under contract anymore. But yeah, I think someone will be willing to give him a shot at being a starter. Look at the teams that need help. The Titans need help. The Browns need help. The Giants need help.
Didn't he play for the Saints at one point?
No. He played for the Jets.
I'm thinking Andy Dalton.
Yeah, Dalton played for him.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Sam
might be an option, dude.
Sam played well to start the year, but it just didn't end up well for him. I do think they're probably going to move on, and I think the Titans or the Browns are probably going to pick him up. But to me, the season was good enough to warrant him starting somewhere. But also, let it be said, I've always been a fan of Sam. Like, I thought that he was okay at the end of his stretch here in Carolina. But whatever, man. It is what it is.
I think you're too hard on him for what happened in Minnesota. Those games, dude, he was getting seeing ghosts.
Yeah,
he was really under duress. It was not like he just had all this opportunity and he was just crapping. And then it snowballed out of control. I mean, I don't think anybody, I don't know, look what happened to Golf in that playoff game. I don't know if you're like, oh, Golf, he can't play.
Yeah. No, I mean, I hear you. And then
when is Detroit going to act? Do you think, when does that conversation creep into the Detroit fan base?
About what? Which
one? It's time to move on from Golf.
I don't know, man. I mean, they've had two of their best seasons back to back under Jared Goff.
Yeah.
So it's hard for them to, I think, move on. They're gonna, now they're without Ben Johnson. They're going to be losing their defensive coordinator as well. So I don't know, man. That's that's maybe they lost their window. I don't
Didn't
really
they
know.
draft the guy too this past year?
This
They
past
drafted.
year.
Oh, maybe it was the year before. That guy.
But they drafted Hendon Hooker.
Hendon Hooker. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Anthony brings up that Kevin McConnell in his post-game press conference was pretty much using past tense words when talking about Sam. So, I mean, yeah, they spent a first-round pick on the kid that they just drafted who won a national championship at Michigan, and he was looking really good in the preseason before he ended up getting hurt. So, but no, it's something to consider, man. I don't think we're going to be in the quarterback market real big, but we might go get a Jameis Winston to make Tony happy.
Yeah,
right.
And caller also asked about free agents. Has anybody's name been poking around the Twitterverse for you?
Yeah, I see a lot of people, and Panther Pickle said this earlier. He was in some rumors space where they're saying that if T. Higgins goes to free agency, more than likely he could be probably the biggest target that we would have. They also might franchise tag him and attempt to trade him somewhere, but I kind of don't see that happening. But yeah, and apparently DJ Moore misses the Carolinas. His family misses the Panthers and the Carolinas. That would be cool.
That'd be cool, but also freaking bananas.
I know too. And they just got Ben Johnson too, and DJ Moore's already posting about it, all happy and shit. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. Good for him. Let's take another call.
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? It's G Cavassier. Hey, that was a damn good Friday free for all. That was a good episode.
Appreciate you, bro.
And I'm telling you, man, I'm sold on that dude from Georgia. Walker, whatever his name is. Oh my God. I looked at his highlights. Yeah, that dude is nasty.
He's the beast, man.
Talked about that center from USC. He's nice too. So I'm gonna tell you a guy that I like. I forgot his name. His name is Malachi. He's a safety out of Georgia.
Malachi Starks.
That dude is a damn beast, man. I can't wait till draft time.
Jalen Walker,
but if that defensive tackle is there at number 8 from Michigan, I say we take it. Because Cody, I agree with you, man. He can stop the run like crazy. The last time I saw a defensive tackle like that in Carolina, it was Kawan Short and Chris Jenkins. Oh, yeah. Take it back in the day. Give me your thoughts on that, y'all. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Tony, listen, I know you don't love the draft, right? But thankfully for you, it already looks pretty easy for the Panthers. There are 3 names that are rumored to be right around where we're picking at number 8 that could and probably would be there for the Panthers. This guy is one of them, Jalen Walker, who is just nightmare fuel for the Georgia Bulldogs. He's an outside linebacker, super aggressive, super powerful. It's at a position of need for us. The biggest name that everybody talks about a lot is Abdul Carter, the defensive end from Penn State, who also is a freak of nature, 3-4 outside linebacker, can bend the edge fast, and is physically powerful. And then, who Jake Avassier was talking about, there is a defensive tackle by the name of Mason Graham. He played at Michigan. And this dude's specialty is literally what the Carolina Panthers are missing.
Eating humans.
Yes, eating humans and stopping the run, dude. He is an absolute monster. And Jake Avassier mentioned the old days of Kawan Short and Star Lotulelei. I imagine a future with Derek Brown and Mason Graham just fucking chucking these fools up out the paint and getting into that backfield,
Let's
baby.
go. Let's go.
So Tony, you might not have to learn too many names this year. It's all defense, primarily a lot of front 7 guys, but you also have guys like Malachi Starks and Nick Emenwari, who are their defensive backs that are sort of making their name known as well. But it's looking like it's going to be a front 7, top 10 pick for the Panthers come April, Tony.
I'd just like to remind people in 2012, we brought in a new GM in Dave Gettleman, who made maybe it was the 2013 draft. So 2012, yeah, because Cam was 2011, Luke was 2012, 2013. The Carolina Panthers had a defense that the previous season was just leaking like a sieve, and you just didn't have any real strong players other than Luke Kuechly, defensive rookie of the year, that you were really building around. You were hoping you were about to see Greg Hardy come out and really make a name for himself in 2013. But the Carolina Panthers and their new GM of Dave Gettleman went and drafted 2 defensive tackles, once in the first round and once in the second, Star Lotulelei and K1 Short. And those guys ended up both starting in that season. And the Panthers defense went from a weakness to a strength overnight. So, hey, give me another, and not just give me another defensive tackle, give me a dominant dude to put beside Derek Brown and to complement him. And you saw what Chris Jones did in that game. Chris Jones, monster. I'm here for. I almost feel better about drafting a defensive tackle than I do an edge rusher.
Same. Well, Tony, I've said a lot before. I believe that the interior is the most important part of your lines, your defensive line and your offensive line.
You can't chip a block up the middle, really.
No. You're either protecting your pocket or you're destroying your pocket. That's what needs to be done, and I think that interior is really what the Panthers are missing, man. And the fact that we never stopped the run, we've given up a tremendous amount of points. Yeah, it's the top 10 picks looks very easy for us this year. Lots of good options as we welcome in another good option, always a good option. Cody Allen. CK, what's up, dude?
What up, boys? Sorry about the delay. Life, gets you a little bit sometimes with the kiddos and what have you. But
how dare
you have kids? You got a wife? You got a family? Is it snowing there?
No snow for us. Yeah,
snowing here.
Figured.
But you're busy. But we're glad that you can spend a little time with us. Good to see you, my friend.
Happy to be here. What are we talking about? What's going on?
Well,
we've been taking some calls.
Yeah. Well, we only have 3 left, so we can do some more of the slides.
I think we had one come in too while we were.
All right, I'll make sure I get them all.
Okay.
But let's since CK is just jumping in here, I think this is a good time, and we have a fun game planned for later too that I really think is going to be fun to get everyone's perspective on. This little chart that I showed you guys.
Yes, it's great. I did it on the radio Friday.
Dude, it's awesome. I love it. Yeah. We're gonna do it. I found it on the Panthers Reddit. That hellhole, but we'll talk about that when it's time to talk about that. This is from Panthers Center on Instagram, who says that these are 5 moves that the Panthers can make to help gain $48 million in cap room in 2025. Keep in mind that we're already sitting at 23. So 48 and 23, man, that would be able to really help us make a lot of signings. But let's go through some of these and talk about how likely they are and should we do them. How about this first one? Panthers extend J.C. Horn, and in doing so, saving $9.4 million in cap space. CK, Tony, we've been talking about this throughout the season. Are you ready to pay J.C. Horn, especially if it means being able to bring down your cap hit this year?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're all on board with this. I think that we all have come to terms with that. Like, while there was injuries that he faced in his first few seasons, that they were all different injuries. There was all some sort of flukish nature to them, but they don't seem like lingering injuries. In some ways, do you think you don't have the sense that these injuries are as problematic to his potential success of what happened to Jonathan Brooks, right? I don't think anybody feels that way. It's just you thought you had a guy that was about to be a name that's on SportsCenter every Sunday, and he just wasn't as available as much as you want. CK, do you think that this number of saving $9 million is just basically calculated for what they, like whatever one of these sites says that this is what he would get per year, and they're probably comparing that to what you would do if you franchise tagged him, or is it fifth year option?
Fifth year option because yeah. I think that what they're doing is assuming that you're going to take what he would make as his fifth year option and basically extend that over the course of the 4 or 5 year extension that you're talking about, and then take his cap hit next year and lower that and maybe convert that to a signing bonus of some sort that would then save cap. I don't know how that whole thing works. I know that I've heard that happen and allow people to do that. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that this is a no-brainer. I've been saying it for a while. And I think when you have a young core group of players that have been playing at a high level, you can't let them walk out the door. And that argument would be somebody would probably go back to why would you say that because you were one of the ones to say trade Brian Burns. I did not get the feeling that Brian Burns was a player that you build a team around.
Agreed.
Derek Brown, J.C. Horn, these guys feel solid. They feel like consistent, playmakers on our defense. And so you can't let these guys walk out the door. If we do that, we're constantly going to be looking at building players up and getting rid of them and letting them go be superstars in other locations in NFL, such as Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore. There's a long list of people that leave and tend to be successful. Frankie Louvu, Jeremy Chin in the NFC Championship game this upcoming week. You can't continue this pattern. You got to get these guys back in and let these homegrown talents continue to be a contributing factor to a team that has been dying for a hero.
I like the discussion. I like your reference to Brian Burns, and what I think we both were in lockstep on this is premium. Both of these guys play premium positions that you need that are hard to fill in the NFL. Edge, pass rusher and corner. Those are the premium positions. But I didn't ever feel that Brian Burns was a premium player. And I'm not trying to be insulting to the person. I just thought he was a good player, not a great player. And I think we get the sense that J.C. Horn is better than good and could be great.
Yeah. And listen, there is that element to this conversation too. Like, say what you want about Burns or any of the people that left out the door. You can only let so many of your own go before it becomes. Listen, we already paid.
Or on a team that you don't have a defense. You can't let the one good player and pick Josie Jewell.
Yes, that's bad for business. Dumb, every way you paint it. But we are all in agreement to pay J.C. Horn.
All in favor. Aye.
Yeah. I'm not even going to bitch about the money too, dude. Yeah. Like I know that the next few years between Stanley Jr. and Sauce Gardner, it's just going to go up and up. So whatever, man. Do it now. Pay to play. Yeah, absolutely. I misplaced that. That was two of the signings we made. We'll talk about that later. Now on to our man, Miles Sanders, everybody's favorite disappointment. What are we thinking about Miles, man? So obviously Jonathan Brooks complicates the situation a little bit, seeing as how we said this before you jumped on, CK. He had his second ACL surgery. He will miss all of 2025. So knowing this, but also knowing that cutting Miles Sanders could free up $5.22 million from moving on from him, would you do it? And by the way, everyone in the chat, let us know what you think as we go through each one of these guys. Miles Sanders, would you keep him on the team or would you let him go to try and get an extra almost $6 million?
I tell you this is if I part ways with Miles Sanders, I don't think it's because of the money. And what I mean by that is, like we always do this, is you save $5.2 million, but you think you've also only have one running back and Chuba Hubbard on the team. So you're going to have to add somebody. So say you just add, I guess best case scenario is a late round rookie that maybe could be some sort of contributor, but you can't really bank on that. But you're going to have to go out and pay the league minimum for a vet to come in. So while you save $5.2 million, you really got to add $2 million that so you're going to save $3 million. So is that $3 million? I don't know if the money itself is the reason. I think maybe the concern with Miles Sanders is some of his comments towards the end of the season where, I mean, he had these 2 games at the end where you're like, oh, or the last game of the season, you're like, oh, I forgot Miles Sanders was on the team. And he said something to the effect of, and it wasn't negative, but he said, like, it sucks to be on the sidelines and know that you can do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, like, he necessarily feels ingratiated by the organization. I mean, clearly not the fan base, right? Like the fan base. I mean, he is coming from Philly where they're even ruder. So don't worry. Like, it's not like we've been too mean. Like, but I wonder, do you think that he has some sort of in his heart, like, I'm a guy and I need to be playing and they're not playing me enough, a little discontent, kind of what you guys referenced. You remember when you have Tyreek losing and how he was acting?
Yeah.
I mean, is he? So I think it would be reasonable to keep him just because of what we need and what we have. I'm not. There's no love lost or hate for me if he goes, though. Like, I'm gonna be like, eh. If we cut him, I'll be like, if we keep him, I'll be like, eh.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit indifferent. I think there are other avenues that you can use to get more money. But listen, the Jonathan Brooks thing changes this.
Yes.
But we're going to have to either go with Miles Sanders, or we're going to have to do like what Lawrence Stravett says: draft a running back in the later rounds. Go get the white Marshawn Lynch, baby, Cam Scatterbo, knocking dudes over. Maybe that is the answer, especially seeing as how you can find serviceable running backs in the later rounds.
Or you've got 2 fourths, you've got a 4th, you've got an early 5th. I mean, while they're
100%, Tony. I'm Tony. I'm completely indifferent because in my mind, if he stays, fine. The team wants to be able to have Chuba Hubbard and him for continuity. If not, running back is one of the most easily replaceable positions. Yeah. If we did cut him, I'm just not going to fret about this.
And he's not that great.
No, I think his best days are behind him. He had that one or 2 really good seasons, but I don't ever see him being like a 1-2 tandem with Chuba Hubbard by any
not a home run hitter right now.
No, not at all. Not at all. So moving on to the next one here, we have Derek Brown and pardon me, Taylor Moton. Taylor Moton. Now, this is someone that we've been talking about a lot because as of right now, Taylor Moton costs around almost $30 million next year. So, dude, that would be a tough one. However, nobody really wants to trade him or move on from him after he had his best year at right tackle last year. Like, literally, the man is playing his best football right now. You don't want to break up that continuity for your Panthers. And low-key, Taylor Moton does not get enough credit for how consistent he has been on this team that's been surrounded by dog shit. So extending Taylor Moton, you could potentially save $13 million
this is the right move.
Extending him.
This is the right move. And I will, we watched the struggling Panthers line and we watched Moton kind of dip a little in his play at times at some point, but he still was never bad. Because we're podcasters and because the internet is all about proving that you know something or trying to be first to the game, we're always trying to be a little bit ahead of the curve on people's demise and their ascension. And I mean, I did this for the Saints defense forever. It's like, this is the year their defense is going to suck. I'm a little too, a little early to the party on some things. And I was sitting there wondering, is Moton getting – it just felt like he'd been around a long time. He's not that old. And these guys that play these positions, sometimes they're savvy. That the older they get, the little bit more savvy and presence. He hasn't, knock on real wood. He's been available, bro. I'm for this. I say this is like, let's not lessen or take any bricks out of the wall that we've built. Let's add bricks.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. Especially, like I've said, I'm a broken record at this point.
Year 3 is
important for everyone.
If you save money and he makes money, this is a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. And listen, like I said, year 3, that's not the year to mess with the trajectory that we're on.
Yes.
Keep your offensive line intact. It's as simple as that, man. Shout out to Stonewall for the $4.99 C3 bomb. It says edge rusher is important, but we need a dominant nose tackle. Horn needs to be signed. We do need another running back since Brooks is in the future. Yeah, a lot of great points, man. A lot of options at running back in the draft. And Tony and I said earlier that interior is now more important in today's NFL than the edges and the tackle positions. So, yeah, I 100% agree with the Stonewall.
Thanks for the donation. Thank you for the support, the C3 bomb. You can support the show, but consider, look, we're hitting the off season. It's going to slow down. Not slow down. We're not going to slow down. We know the C3 Legion isn't going to slow down, but we got to remember. Well, we love for you guys to be here on Tuesday nights, be here on Fridays. Consider being a C3 super fan for $1.99. But you can support the show even if you can't give a monetary donation, which we do appreciate, and we continue to extend and build the podcast as we go. You can help us by subscribing on YouTube, liking on Facebook, and checking us out on Twitter, X, and everybody appears on this. And just a very simple thing, and I know it's just a thumbs up is awesome. Dance on that thumbs up button. Keep pounding on it. But if you hit that share button and you put it on your X, you put it on your Facebook, you put it on your wherever you're hanging out, one more person learns about this community. One more person joins this community. Thank you for your support.
Yes, sir. Let's see some more we got here. Robert Hunt, a restructure of his contract could net us $11.38 million.
That seems a little bit too quick to me.
You know, CK, I thought that when I first read it, but then I also kind of feel like this is kind of par for course when you get a big free agent that's going to be here for a long time. I feel like
he wants to be here too, I think too. Like if he's getting a guy that I think this also depends upon how they feel the team is going to move, right? If they feel like, which to me, it feels like Robert Hunt, like legitimately wants to be here. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a more like, maybe the last time I felt this way was Gerald McCoy. Like a dude really wanted to be here. He didn't have, like, even though that might have been all fake and that was
I think it was CK.
But like this is just, it feels like this dude loves Carolina. He loves this team. He loves the fan base, even though we haven't really given him a lot to love. And so, yeah, I mean, I think he could restructure. I just worry that we're running into another situation where we're like a Timo situation this year, right? We're going to have to eat the heck out of that unless we decide to extend Timo, which we should, by the way. But like, it's because we have done that, just this constant kicking the can. And I don't think that that's something that we should be continuing to play with. I think we just got to eat our lunch and just move forward. Some of these make sense, restructuring or, extending Timo, extending Horn to make some savings. But a restructure of a guy like Robert Hunt, I just don't think that makes a tremendous amount of sense right now. And let's add an extra year to his contract.
Yeah, I mean, that's what maybe it happens. Maybe that's what you do. I don't know what, restructure is such a broad term of what that actually means for the financials. I do agree with you, like, about the sense you get from Robert Hunt. I think this is Robert Hunt signed a big deal here. He came here with the right intentions, is that I'm getting paid. I'm going to give it my all. I love football. He stepped into a leadership role. I think this is just, I just get the sense that Robert Hunt isn't partially in when it comes to it. Is like he got his money, which he wanted and he needed to get his money, but now he's here to play. And I think that he sees himself as part of this. And that's where I think is like, I don't think he's going, oh, it's a 5-year deal, but I'm only going to do 3. So I do think a restructure could benefit if it helps for the financials for a player like this that we also believe is an important leadership player. We don't half believe him, but I also don't necessarily know exactly what restructure means all the time. Like, it just sounds cool and money moves around. And you're right. If you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, you don't want to do that either.
Yeah. I think to Cody's point, we've been saying this, maybe you, Tony, have been saying this about the Saints for a while. Well, all it took was that like 1 year of them being a bad team, or maybe a couple years, and it was going to bite them because they're not going to continue to be able to sign these crazy restructures and all that stuff, because guys aren't going to want to stay for a team that's in a rebuild mode. Sorry about it. There's just not going to happen. And if there's a team in rebuild right now, it's the Saints, more so than maybe any other team in the NFL. So,
yeah, no, we already established that the Saints are $52 million in the hole.
Yeah, $52 million. And I think what CK brings up, great point, or a point, is that you can do the voodoo magic when you have some real parts on your team to finagle it for the short term. But right now, what you're seeing with the Saints is that finagling in the short term doesn't help them because they don't have those parts to build upon. So if you had Breeze and this guy, or not even, you know what I'm saying? If you have these real anchors and you're like, you know what, is we could go into cap hell for a little while for today, that makes sense. But you don't do that in a time when you're in a rebuild.
Yes.
Who's next? What else do we got?
Next is Derek Brown. And we could possibly restructure Derek Brown for almost $10 million.
I'd rather leave this contract alone than the Robert Hunt one, because the injury, and I don't even know, what was it, a knee injury? I think it was his ACL or MCL. Look, we just have to remember that these dudes are big, giant men.
Yes.
So it's one thing for Bryce Young, a smaller person to have a foot injury, to have a knee injury. But when you're a 300-pound man and you got a bad knee, the weight of life walking around at the grocery store is problematic. So I don't think that Derek Brown is going to be problematic going forward. But I don't know where we're at with him either. You know what I'm saying? Like where he is in his, and I'm hoping the rehabilitation is going great. I expect all those things to happen. I think he's a hard worker. I think he's a smart dude. I think he's like all the right things that you want. I would be cautious, like you said with Dan Morgan, and drafting a injured player. Is there any caution to messing around a little bit too much with a player that was coming off of an injury that's on your roster? I almost feel better about restructuring Robert Hunt just on the face of it. I don't know what the details of what restructure means than I would be with Derek Brown.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if these guys want to contend, this is how to do it. I mean, look at what Taylor Moton did and how now he's going to get paid and probably rewarded with a brand new contract. But listen, if you want people to come here and if you want this team to be competitive and to be able to compete, guys have to do this, man. I hear the points that both of you made about Derek Brown and Robert Hunt. But if they're willing to do it, I think it definitely doesn't hurt to ask them, and you're justifying what you intend to do with it. So, last week we sort of went over some of the free agent options that are going to be on the table for us, a wide receiver and stuff like that. And if we really have some guys that we identify that we say, hey, these are the dudes that are going to take us to the next level, we need, in order to sign them, we need you to take a pay cut or restructure your contract a little bit. I think they would be willing to do it. But again, I can't speak for them. I don't watch their pockets and shit like that.
Yeah.
All right. Do we got any more, or are we going back to the calls?
Let's take another call, and then we'll get into this fun little game that we have planned. Anthony from Charlotte.
Yo, what's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good
Be quiet.
Tuesday.
It's all the way up.
Just wanted to call in and chat.
Speak with your chest, Anthony.
The playoffs this weekend. That was awesome. The Commanders upset was awesome. The Chiefs kind of just felt like the Chiefs holding in some stuff for the next round, like in a typical Andy Reid fashion. Always got something up his sleeve. They didn't really pull out anything special versus the Texans. The Bills-Ravens, awesome game. Bills just played turnover free football and ended up winning, and that's how you win games in the playoffs, man. And the Ravens turned it over 3 times. But enough of that, right? And the Eagles game was whatever.
I want to talk about it, Anthony.
Saquon's just too good.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
Stinks though. On the what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I read the title of the show, and I've been talking to a lot of people. Like, I've been meeting new people and like on Panthers Twitter, just talking it up, getting different opinions on this off season specifically. And there's this whole notion, it feels like, going around, and I'm pretty sure you guys are going to do this exercise tonight, but there's this whole notion going around that, we don't have any cap space, and that's completely false. Scott Fitter was horrible as our general manager because he took kind of the Saints approach. Not as heavily, because we never had the star power that the Saints had, to where, like, oh yeah, we got to pay Alvin Kamara again, and we got to pay Cam Jordan again a lot of money. We're just going to kick it down the road. Not to that extreme sense, but with everything that he did with voiding contracts and making every year pretty much a 1 year go all in type of year, this is the year, if you like, they can easily free a lot of stuff up and get like $75 to $80 million in cap space. With no contracts into the future, being like, oh, we hate this player, like, that we have to still pay this bum player. No. Like, that's the one thing about Dan Morgan this past offseason. All the big contracts he gave out, the multi-length deals, they're all good players. Ashawn Robinson, the 2 linemen, Hunt and Lewis, Josie Jewell, like, all those signings were good. So it makes me believe that they are going to be a serious in free agency this year and just try to make a splash. And I do think they'll have the money for it. And yeah, that's truly what I think. I mean, the other thing I wanted to bring up real quick is that you look around the league, and these teams are turning their teams around in the span of one off season. And I know they've had, bad seasons leading up to that, but it really isn't that hard, man. Hold.
Anthony comes back for call number 2.
Yo, all right. So it's Anthony. So real quick, because I need to bring this up. Like, I was one of the people in the beginning of this past season that said it's a rebuild. 100% it's a rebuild, but I do also think that at some point this process has got to, we got to put our foot on the gas. Like Washington, 4-13 the year before. They get their quarterback. They sign a ton of free agents. They hit on draft picks. Boom, they're in the NFC Championship game. The Texans, got their quarterback, got a good defense, got offensive pieces. They're in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Like, I think we got to stop setting the bar so low. Like, at some point, like, I think this past year is reasonable to do that because we were coming off a 2-15 season. But if we want to get good, we can get good. It just comes down to the certain moves this team ends up making. And that's really going to determine how I'm going to feel about this team when it comes to predictions and all that stuff in a couple months. So all in all, we'll see. But, I don't know. So those are just all my thoughts. Sorry for the extended third of a call, but Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding, boys.
Keep pounding. I've noticed this too, man. A lot of teams are turning it around fast. The Texans did it last year, and now they've been in the playoffs 2 years in a row. And now look at the Commanders, dude. Literally, they get a brand new head coach in Dan Quinn. They get a Heisman-winning quarterback, badass Jaden Daniels from LSU. And they're rolling, man. They have Bobby Wagner on that team, former Panthers like Frankie Louvu and Jeremy Chin.
Yeah, but it's all this is Jaden Daniels. And
it's all Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, pretty much.
He is pretty much carrying that team.
I mean, his fourth quarter numbers are insane.
The dude's absurd.
I love when we see these things because it shows you the greatness of these opportunities. But I also the sad part is that we've now only judge everything to that standard.
Yeah.
And so look it's a crazy. I don't know if I'm happy or sad about it because I've been all Jaden Daniels all year, and the lovable Lions get bounced. It's just it's kind of like a bittersweet in some ways. I know it's awesome. It for me, it's better that I'm glad they got bounced by the Commanders than somebody like that was a little bit better. The Lions, because like now I get to go, oh, I love Jaden Daniels, or like I'm rooting for this storyline. But a lot of that a lot of people have been endeared by the Lions, the lovable losers turning into that.
Well, I also think they were so banged up. Like they had injuries all up and down that defense.
Picks.
The
Commanders played incredible, dude. That pick in the end zone, it was like I know Jared Goff threw those picks, but that you hear it every now and then that defensive back ran the route better than the receiver.
Yeah.
Like that interception in the end zone wasn't a terrible throw. It was just a great play by that DB at the same time. Mm-hmm. The Commanders fucking are on fire, bro. Like it's a special story.
Can I read this comment too? Because it's not wrong, but it also really pisses me off. From also Carolina says Jaden Daniels is not in the NFC Championship if he played for the Panthers. So every year we do this thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, all these really good players, they just would have sucked if they were here, right? Like, dude, a part of it is just so.
We just did it with Stroud.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's so condescending. Like, it's like, your team just sucks, and even if you did pick the right player, they would still suck. It's like, come on, dude.
Their
a lot of it is just
excuse
making. A lot of it is just excuse making for bad drafts.
The Commanders were not a good team. And not a terrible team. Like, there's some pieces. You got McLaurin. You got this Dwami, whatever. I can't remember his name, but he had 2 touchdowns in the last game or something like that. You've got some players that but this is the Jaden Daniels effect, bro. That defense didn't carry him. Jaden Daniels carried this team all year, and now the defense is playing better. Like the defense took time to come around.
Yeah, it did. Dude, this is going to be a matchup in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, it is.
Yep,
it's going to be an interesting one. It's interesting because these guys. It's how often can you say the NFC Championship game comes down to people from the same division? That's going to be wild because these guys, if you think that their 2 meetings in the middle during the regular season were heightened emotionally, can you imagine what it's about to look like? Like what this is about to be? And I hate this because like I love the Panthers, but man, I cannot tell you how happy I am for Luvu and Chen, and even Curtis Samuel for the Bills. Like these guys who were former Panthers, who we all really enjoyed being in the Panthers uniform.
Yeah, we liked them, CK.
Yeah.
These were players that we liked as people and as players on the field.
Yeah, and so those guys are all having an opportunity to impact things. Curtis Samuel is part of the reason why the Bills are still in the playoffs this year.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Like it's a wild situation. Frankie Luvu hasn't been an impact player for them during the playoffs, but I'll tell you what, man, he hasn't been a liability for them.
He was an impact player all season for them.
Exactly, and that's been part of the reason why they're still in this fight. Man, and I hate, like, here's the thing with Jaden Daniels. It's hard not to like the dude. Like the dude is probably one of the most likable players in the entire NFL, and I don't know what it is. Like, I just genuinely like the dude.
What I loved about his season, CK, is I've just watched it from afar. I go on the radio on Pirate Radio on Fridays, and my friend Clip is a Commanders fan. So we're always, we're talking Panthers, and we talk Commanders a little, and we talk NFL in general. But I watched Jaden Daniels throughout the season. In the first 4 games of the season, he wasn't passing the ball at a high rate. Like, I mean, he wasn't like just dealing. He was running. He kept drives alive with his legs. And you're like, and then you get that stupid narrative like, oh, is he a running quarterback and stuff like that? No, what it is being able to move is an asset. Your game doesn't need to be predicated on it, but not being able to move is a limitation. Being able to run is an asset to the point where you can then make it deadly. But what I loved about them, and you saw it all the way through the game remember he got hurt in the Panthers game?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got hurt, and then he came back out on the sidelines, didn't go back into the game, and everybody was cheering for him.
Yeah, but about that might have been week 8 or so, right around there. We're starting to get,
It was still Andy Dalton. So I think it was probably week 6.
Yeah, and so think of the Commanders' timeline is the first 4 to 5 games. Jaden Daniels kept them alive and in it because he was able to move and run. He wasn't a bad passer, but he wasn't just putting up numbers and dealing. From weeks like 7 through 13 or 14, he became a passing quarterback. And what I think is, and I've been like this, is that if I am not Kyle Shanahan, who is it? Kingsbury, is like, I'm ready now that think about this, is that now you're going into the NFC Championship game. Fuck it. We're running Jaden Daniels, baby. Yeah, like, oh well, we can't run our quarterback in case he gets hurt in the future. No, we're on the precipice of getting to the fucking Super Bowl. Let's do whatever it takes. So now you've got a dual threat quarterback. You've got a mini Lamar Jackson. He is not a mini. He's a young. He reminds me of Lamar.
He does. He does. Fast. He can run. He can throw.
Yeah. The deep ball is fucking insane.
I do. How about this? He's probably a more talented thrower in his rookie season than Lamar was as just a pure thrower of the football.
I mean, same. You could say the same for Cam.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. All right, last call, and then we will play this little game.
Hey, what's up, C3 Nation? This is Slim Jim. I'm calling all the way from sunny San Diego.
Nice.
Calling to recap. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, or I haven't called in a while, so I just wanted to recap on the season for the Panthers. Will like to say that I will eat some crow on the Bryce Young allegations that he's a bust. Didn't believe in him, but I can't lie. I did like what I saw to finish the season. Want to hear what you guys have to say about that and how the Panthers are going to be looking going forward. And another thing I wanted to talk about, I got a buddy moving out to Charlotte here this summer and trying to get him on the Panthers bandwagon. But I wanted to ask you guys, what are some recommendations for areas in Charlotte to live for a young couple in their 30s getting ready to have their first child? What are some good spots to check out? Honestly, myself, I'm actually thinking about relocating out of San Diego and moving to North Carolina myself. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, what the locals have to say. But yeah, throw some recommendations out there. Let me know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to talk to y'all soon, or I'm going to check out the show here pretty soon. But other than that, keep pounding, baby. Let's go.
Keep pounding, baby. Listen, if you have San Diego money, Charlotte might be pretty doable for you. I was about to say, you better be prepared to spend some money, because if you're anywhere in Charlotte, dude, prices are going crazy everywhere. Everything is either a new apartment complex or a new office building. But congrats, man, if you do end up moving out here. I live in the historic part of Charlotte in South End, which is really cool, by the Panthers Stadium. But I don't know, Tony, I'll pass this one sort of up to y'all, man. What y'all thinking?
Sorry, I was muted. If you're relocated, look, I'm a visitor of Charlotte, not a person that's lived there. So, like, it is a fast-growing city, one of the fastest-growing cities in the country, right? But here is the good things I think about Charlotte that to look forward to is relatively safe city. I mean, overall, right? I mean, like, in fact, that's what we get a lot in the South is like, and it's got a financial center to it. It's a hub city. It's got an international airport. The city ain't going nowhere. It's only going up, particularly in a nation where the traditional cities of Chicago, Boston, New York, now Los Angeles are going down. And when I say going down, losing population, I don't know if they're losing value, but definitely a shift. Great schools, right? Great sport. Like, it's a hard place to complain about. I mean, moving from San Diego, though, is you also are in the great, and I've never been there, but everybody says like the weather alone. That's why the San Diego Chargers couldn't exist, is because the weather was so good that people didn't want to watch football, right? Like, it's like I also think like when you live in crappy places like Green Bay, not crappy, I don't mean it like that, Buffalo, stuff like this is like you need something to like your place. San Diego is a place is like there's so much to do. Like you're like, oh, I could watch football, or I could just leave my windows open and enjoy this 77-degree weather and no humidity and the great food and stuff. I think Charlotte would be I've never heard anybody saying they don't like Charlotte. That's what I would say. I've never heard one person say they don't like Charlotte. Little sprawling for my taste.
I would say that I don't hear anybody say that they hate Charlotte. I do see people with a similar viewpoint than, similar to you there, Tony. I wouldn't move into Charlotte per se, but I would move to the outskirts, and I would love
South Charlotte.
Yeah.
Like Matthews, something like that.
I mean, there's a lot of locations on the outskirts that I would love. I certainly haven't been looking through Zillow at those houses at any point over the past few years, but that's
they've had a real estate boom too in their own right. But like Cody said, is San Diego boom. Who was it? My man, and I need to catch up with him, and I'm gonna remember his name in a second. But like he lived in, and I remember this was he was listening to the podcast in 2013, and he's like, I bought my first house, and it was 1,200 square feet in San Diego for like $585,000. I was like, fuck, you can move to Greenville, North Carolina, homie, and build a fucking mansion with a castle with a moat around it from here. I think you'll like Charlotte. For me, and I'm just from a small town, not a small town, a small city in Greenville. I like a compact where I don't have to drive like crazy far. So the only thing intimidating for me about Charlotte is like, oh, I got to drive 28 minutes to work. But no, I mean, look, it's a great city, great place. I think there is, here's my advice to anybody that's living in that region. If you're in education, right? Like if you're in the school system, particularly working for the state of North Carolina, you are really fucking set because you live very close to South Carolina. So you could do your retirement and get like 25 years with North Carolina or 30 years. And then you could go and work in South Carolina and then get a double retirement. That's a cool thing. The other part of the call was Bryce Young. I think we're unanimous in this. Look, he said that Crow. I kind of am upset that we have to defend our uncertainty with Bryce at one point. Like, I mean, I don't think it's one thing. I think that people using terms like bust or generational or elite, like these extreme terms, do bait us into having to recalculate or reorganize our ideas. But I know this is, and I know that CK was the most neutral of all. I really felt like I was a neutral person on this, and maybe I just
think you were more neutral.
The coolest person in the world. Maybe that's why I just think that. But I just thought there was reasons to be concerned, or there were reasons to not be happy with the exact product, but not necessarily like, hey, I'm ready to trade the dude.
Tony, I think you probably had the biggest, most reasonable take on the entire thing throughout his last year and this year. It was, I want to see it. I'm not willing to give up on the kid, but as of now, he hasn't shown us anything, right? And it wasn't, Cody was a little bit more on the, get him off my fucking team mindset. And I was more on the, let's give Bryce the benefit of the doubt on everything, right? And I don't think any of us were necessarily wrong. Like, that's the funny thing about it. Like, people who were saying Bryce was a bust had every right to say that from what they saw, right? People who said that they want to give Bryce more time and be more reasonable, like, listen, he's not showing it yet, but I want to give him an opportunity to show it. They were right too, right? But at the same time, the people who were Bryce believers right now are looking like they were right too. Like, I don't think anybody was wrong in this, and anybody taking a victory lap is not really, you're not winning because of it. Like, everybody was right.
They're doing it for themselves, CK.
Yeah,
everybody was right. They're doing it for themselves. If you want to be right, you were right. If you were wrong, you were. I mean, like, I'm just this. I am heartened, right? Is like, I am heartened that we are not in the feeling of despair with this pick.
Yeah. I think this is a prime example of what we had been saying. And honestly, here's the thing that's interesting is the same thing that's happening here is a prime example of what we were talking about last year with the Texans, right? The Texans this year took a step back because CJ Stroud's protection is absolutely god awful right now. He lost a lot of his weapons. And right now on the season, from a touchdown to interception, like number of touchdowns and interceptions in less games, Bryce Young looks better from those numbers than CJ Stroud did playing the entire season. And a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, he doesn't have an offensive line. He doesn't. Guess what? You're right.
Yes.
The dude has the ability to play really well, but you give him a shit situation, he isn't able to overcome that. Like, you can't, and to expect Bryce to have been able to do that last year is absolutely naive. And now you see exact evidence of that. You put quarterbacks in good situations, they can succeed. You see it with people like the Baker Mayfields of the world, Sam Darnold. You saw what happened when he didn't have a good team keeping him upright in the playoffs with the Minnesota Vikings. He crumbled because you have to have consistent play from your team to be able to have a high quality quarterback. And I think that right now, Bryce is not a king, right? He hasn't proven that he's able to overcome every odds that are stacked against him. But I tell you what, he's proven a lot to us, and I think it's worth being excited about. That's all I think is important about this.
But I think proven. Look, here is that if I say this, is that people are going to be like, "Oh, I'm not convinced yet," right? Is I just don't know what the future is. I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know if he's going to be an elite quarterback. I want to be here on this podcast where we have an elite quarterback and we are making we're always like a Chiefs fan. I want to feel that feeling, right? I do want to feel that feeling. I just feel like everybody, we always are just so extreme in everything. So it's like this, is like he had a tough season. Or like, it's like, oh, he's a bust. You got to trade him. You got to cut. Or now he's like, now there's that his future is guaranteed. I don't know what his future is. I just know that I felt 3 months ago, I felt on October 1st, I felt like I didn't even want to do this damn podcast. And I would just say this is that Bryce and what Dave Canales and all of them have put together at the end makes me want to get back here on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Enough.
We feel like we're moving in the right direction. And I'll tell you what, I know that a lot of people are looking at teams like the Commanders and any of these teams that have a massive turnaround like the Texans, and they might feel like, man, that's really that sucks that they were able to do it, but we weren't. Dude, it can happen. It can happen with one. Like we talked about it already, and I just feel like it's important that we iterate it. The Commanders went from nothing to where they're at right now. Like so they had so. And here's the thing. Like, it wasn't because their offense was just this incredible offense all year either. Like, Jaden Daniels was great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They built this team from being a bad defense to being a great defense, from being a bad offense to being a great offense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like we should all turn our head. We're all white dudes here.
Yeah.
We should all. He's got the white dude dad coach look. Backwards hat Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
And I didn't think highly of him. He's a white Ron Rivera, but better.
Yeah. Well, clearly, based on what he's done with Washington right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I would just
Ron
like to
Rivera
say
had an
that
opportunity.
Jaden Daniels was my number one quarterback in this past draft.
So was Dan Orlovsky's. He was talking about it. He was like, if I'm the Bears, I'm taking Jaden Daniels. And that, by the way, I want to make this clear. That doesn't mean you're shitting on
Caleb
Williams. Like, he was in a shitty situation up there in Chicago too. I know everybody's going to say that he had the best offensive weapons in the entire league, but at the same time, he also had a shit offensive line too.
It's like they didn't. They were 2 and whatever. They can't have the best of. Like, let's get.
But
you're
I
not
think
a
it's
good
worthy.
team.
I think it's worth it acknowledging that saying that Jaden Daniels is a great quarterback doesn't mean that it has to mean that Caleb Williams is a bad one.
Same with Bryce and CJ Stroud.
Exactly. Those guys can still. I said it from the get-go. I'm not a draft guy. I preferred Bryce over CJ Stroud, but it wasn't a like such a massive gap that I was like, if we took CJ Stroud, I'd be disappointed. It was. I said it constantly. It was 1A, 1B for me. It always was. During
not like a third rounder versus a first rounder.
Right. And I think that can be true with a lot of these guys. And it's not often that you have starting at least 2 quality elite quarterbacks from the same draft class, but it happens from time to time. And if it can happen 2 years in a row with Bryce and CJ and then Caleb and Jaden Daniels, then that would be something to be excited about. I know a lot of people would be happy to not have a lot of good quarterbacks in the league, but I much rather see competitive football than just blowouts every year.
We need to, Cody, think about this when I make this comment, is what quarterbacks are where were they drafted, and who's in the play. I think everybody but Hurts was first round. I think though this, and I dislike the draft. I dislike the. It's not that I dislike the draft. It's not that I just dislike all the endless words and time that people allocate to things that are 98% false.
Yeah.
And I think Jaden Daniels is, and maybe even when it comes to CJ Stroud and that stupid S2 score or whatever, we get too into groupthink.
Yeah.
You had a Heisman quarterback, but you made all of these he didn't match your idea set. He didn't match the groupthink idea set. Now, it doesn't mean that there weren't a few people out there that saw it, like Cody or Lars, whoever. You can pick all these, but we get too. This is what I hate about the draft, is it's just so groupthinkish.
Yeah.
And and maybe this is the anti-statist person that has crept into me since COVID, is like now, and maybe I've always been this rebel, and I probably have. It's like if a song is cool and everybody likes it, I'm like, pfft.
Yeah.
I remember when the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, you're a hipster.
Like, everybody likes
this. Call that a hipster, Tony. The minute something becomes popular.
Yeah, I'm like,
no, I was a fan of them before they were cool.
I know. And then sometimes they're actually cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I'm like, oh, my bad. But anyway, do we got more calls?
It's also the groupthink aspect of it too, I think, Tony, before we move on. It's somewhat frustrating. The groupthink also goes the route of, it's always hindsight too. Like the groupthink of seeing, we drafted Xavier Legette, but we could have had X, Y, or Z at that position. And I'm just sitting there thinking in that moment, number one, not a single person was complaining that we drafted Xavier Legette for the most part. There's probably some,
I'm not done on this mug.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Panther Nation, don't be done on this stud. Look at his personality. Look at who he is and what he is and how hard he fights. This guy ain't Kelvin Benjamin. He ain't soft. He ain't a big dude and with a soft like soul.
Hey, listen, the fact that he's been dealing with an injury for pretty much the entire year tells you how tough this dude is. Like, he got hurt multiple times and came back into the game every single time from my recollection.
And he shouldn't have won that last game. I thought he got his back broke.
Yeah, so I mean, dude was constantly fighting to be, even though we may have been like, hey man, you need to take a seat. The dude was still pushing to be out there. And I tell you, when it was meaningless to still want to be out there for your team, I think that's worthy of praising that young man who could have easily just been focused on his future and saying, let's just wait and let's go this way. He was focused on being there for his teammates when they needed him most. And he may have dropped some big plays. And it may not listen, it wasn't going to change the trajectory of our team had he caught that against the Eagles, or if he caught a couple of those other ones that happened to, be pretty big drops, or anything along those lines.
They were tough catches too. Can we say that? It's one thing if like you are dropping the ball, you're right. Look, Ted Ginn Jr., all y'all mugs love some Ted Ginn Jr. That dude had stone ass hands. Did he make some great ass plays for the Carolina Panthers? Was he very important in that 2015 season for us in the success? Yes. But do you know how many fucking bombs he was wide open and it was right in his breadbasket? I don't remember just Leggett just being like dropping these easy ass passes. Yeah, and I think there was one on loop with Panther fans. What was the game?
The Eagles.
Who was it?
The Eagles won. The Eagles play. It was the end of the game. We were gonna potentially go up on the Eagles with like a minute left in the game, and he dropped that big 30-yard that was a surefire touchdown.
And he was rolling into it. Was it just a straight up
it was a pretty standard catch for an NFL wide receiver. So I mean, there is
one where he rolled into it. He said, "I thought I'd caught it." That
I mean, he had to do a bit of he had to reach out for it, but it wasn't like such a diving catch that it would have been like had he caught it. We were like, "Oh my god, he made this incredible catch!"
Right. But it wasn't easy either.
It was one that was like he caught it and then he rolled and it kind of came loose. And we've seen multiple wide receivers in the NFL make that exact same drop. We've seen Adam Thielen make that drop. We've seen CMC make that drop. So to pretend like that's just isolated to him is a silly thought. Giving up on Xavier Leggett is a silly prospect. Especially given
given that monster of body.
I mean,
he's like a guy you build on, man.
His upside is way too high.
When you come back to that, people have made that catch, CK and stuff. And I do agree with you. It's like, I mean, look, that's the difference. The difference between doing something and not doing it is doing it. Right? Like, so making that catch, he becomes a hero.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, he makes that catch and nobody's questioning his rookie.
He's going into no matter how many other drops he got, if he dropped every other pass that he had
6 touchdowns.
To be like when I think about Ted Ginn, yes, I'm going to remember the fact that he was constantly on the Deion Sanders, oh man, or whatever he was. He had this whole list of people making gaffes, right? But I will always remember that one throw. This is when I think Ted Ginn. I don't think about those drops. I think about this
Miami. I wonder if you're going to
that one at the back of the end zone. Cam Newton just uncorked.
I remember. I think it was a Miami game.
And they called it incomplete, and it was just it just showcased his speed, and he brought that in, and it turned out to be good. But it was drop. He had drops. Don't get me wrong, but I remember him for those moments more so than I do the drops. And I think that Xavier Leggett in that moment, had he caught that ball, I think he would have been remembered for that, and I think he would have gone in, like you said, he would have been a legend in Panthers fandom.
Oh, he would have been hey, we've got a number one. We've got this. It would have that one play. I think we've
crowned Coker for that.
Yeah,
with his 82-yard, longest play we've had since 2016. That's gone to his, he's been crowned as being that guy. But yeah, giving up on him is a silly prospect. But my entire thing was the groupthink of constantly looking back and assuming, talking about how, oh man, look at those Rams. That defense was so much more effective because they had two guys that we could have gotten in the second round at that position. And instead we decided to pass on them for Xavier Leggett and Jonathan Brooks. nobody could have predicted the season to go the way that it did. And to pretend like they would have been on this defense and that Evero would have handled them the correct way, you're out of your mind. If you would have believed they would have been impact players here.
I'll caution you one thing is short-term conclusions after short-term evidence lead to you some problems. Yeah. And I'll give you this, is that in 2015, the greatest Panthers season of all time, and we were doing this podcast, we didn't even know how cool it was. But at the end of 2015, the Carolina Panthers go 15-1 in the regular season. They go to the Super Bowl. They do not win the Super Bowl, but look, you had an NFL MVP in Cam Newton. You had what was thought to be one of the best drafts in Panthers history. They did a redraft. So look, and this is what we're going to get into, and maybe why I hate the draft process is because I start to look at this in longevity and big context terms. But after the 2015 season, they did a redraft of, like, you know how they do, where they say, if we redrafted these players knowing what they did, where would they go? And the Carolina Panthers had like 4 first-round picks. They were saying it was like Ben Wickery, first-round pick, Devin Funchess, first-round pick. And then you start reading these names. If you went back and looked at this, who does people hate the most? By the way, I still like Ben A. I know that I think he got did wrong by the Panthers, but after the 2015 season, and they looked at that Carolina Panthers draft, and I'll pull it up real quick, is the Carolina Panthers draft 2015. I can't type. And I shouldn't be doing this because now we're going down a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down. At the end of the 2015 season, people said, Shaq Thompson, Devin Funchess, Daryl Williams. Daryl Williams played a big role on that at guard on that team. David Mayo. Was it that one? What was it, 2014? I swear we had Ben Wickery. But the idea, and obviously it's not a good idea since it all failed just then, is that if you make a conclusion after one season about what players are, it might be right, but there's a good chance it could be wrong.
Sure.
So, I mean, look, I'm here for I don't know. I think the only thing that we're getting baited into when it comes to XL, and the problem is that if he is not a top 5 receiver in Panther fans' mind, he's a bust.
And that's such a dumb thought. He was drafted at the end of the second or the first round.
But what if he's just a really fucking good? What if he turns out to be? Do you think Masim Muhammad was a bust?
No, I don't think so.
No, because he was never the greatest receiver in the league.
Yeah, but even still, he has a long way to go before he's even on Musa Muhammad's level.
But his point, I think the point is that if he can be, like, that would make him not a bust.
What if he's just a very good player at the end?
I mean, what type of career is enough to benefit or to be worth a late first round pick? Dude, I mean, that's essentially what we did. We moved up.
Touchdowns in your rookie year on a terrible team that was struggling. At that, think about all his touchdowns came when the team sucked.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just think it's this shit on XL. If you want, not me. I'm here for XL. I don't know if he's going to be some fucking Calvin Johnson. I'm not saying that, but I think he can be a really good player in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that he has all the traits that you need, and we've seen it happen more than once where a guy maybe doesn't have the breakout first year, but turns out to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. And Tony, to your point, he doesn't even have to do that. He has to be a guy who earns a second. In my opinion, if he's here and he gets his 5th-year option, then that tells me he's not a bust. If we don't pick up his 5th-year option, that's a bust to me. Because I don't know of a single player in the NFL where their team didn't pick up their 5th-year option that it didn't really turn out to be that it was a bust for that team at the very least, because they're not coming back. They're not coming back to that team.
No, I agree. If we're not picking up a 5th-year option, then that says we haven't seen enough in the small amount of time that we've had them to justify wanting to extend them.
All right. What's
Hit
that?
the drugs machine before the start of the next season comes up. So this is floating around Reddit, and I felt like this would be fun for us to do and mull around over on the pod.
We got to describe it because people listening.
So basically, we have 3 rows, 3 columns. We have good player, average player, bad player. And
so
then
that's
we have
a horizontal.
Yeah, that's the horizontal. And then the vertical line is loved by fans, fans are divided on, and hated by fans. So you would pick one for all of them. A good player that was loved, divided, hated. Average player, loved, divided, hated.
Let's all do one for each square.
Yeah, okay. All right. So
let's start with loved by fans, good player. That's the easiest.
All right, who's a good player who is loved by fans? I'm going to go with an easy one, but not necessarily the most popular answer. I'm going Greg Olsen.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm not actually.
I'm a good player.
You know what? Not fine with it. I think you're right. Good player, loved by fans. Oh, and can we mention this? Greg Olsen. I know that we wanted him to be so great on the broadcasting, and he really was great. I would listen to him read a book to me going to sleep. Tom Brady sucks, bro.
I hate it. The dude is so bad. So bad.
It's just like Greg, they need to promote Greg. Greg is better.
Well, they didn't. They needed to not demote him, in my opinion.
Well, now they need to admit their wrongs and say, now, Tom, you got ownership in the Raiders. We don't
need you. You
don't
need
complications here. This guy's better
too much money to do that. They're gonna milk that contract for the time being. But yeah, he's that was
much better. It's head and shoulders. This is America. We want to be a meritocracy.
Yeah. I was listening to that. So when I can't remember, it might have been this week or maybe last week, and he was saying some stuff that I was just like the entire time, I'm like, why is this dude on the broadcast? Like, it was just number one, he's a very boring person.
Right. You're like, oh, I get why Giselle wanted to fuck Antonio Brown. I get it.
Well, that, and you also have the in my opinion, his takes tend to be very off the mark to me. Like, I can't specify one of the situations, but I remember he said something, and I almost wanted to go to Twitter and be like, why is he talking about this? He has his opinion is so wrong. Like, it's such a weird thing to, anyway, but yeah, I agree.
There's also something to just being on camera and being on the microphone, like knowing how to be engaging while giving football information. Tom may be a great quarterback, but being personable and actually sounding like you enjoy explaining football to people, like that's why people love John Madden, right? John Madden would explain football in the simplest, most easy to understand terms, and you would have a did it.
It's Harry Carey. Look, and CK, I will just say this is that I don't need to say that Tom Brady is bad, but what seeing Tom Brady do that as it just Greg Olsen is just so good at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't even need to say, and it's not that Tom Brady is bad. It's just Greg is fucking awesome at it, dude. He's really good at it. Good player, loved by fans. Cody went, Greg Olsen. CK, who you
go? Luke. I think there's no better player there to me.
Yeah. I think that's one nobody's going to disagree. Mine is going to be Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Steve Smith, good player, loved by fans. All right. And I wish we had a great player instead of good. But, all right, let's mince. All right. So do you want to go down or you want to go right, Cody?
I think you should go down.
Yeah, let's go down.
Right. Good player, fans are divided.
I think this is such an easy one.
All right, go.
Cam Newton.
I hate that you say that, but I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Man, a good player where fans are divided on them. Man. Oh, how about this?
My bastard son. Do not take my bastard son and I. He's part of my DNA. Do not take it, Cody.
No. I was gonna say, but he's not a Panther anymore. But yeah, I mean, it didn't matter. Brian Burns, because people either love that dude or they thought that he was the most overrated.
He's not even good, dude. He's okay. This is why.
But that's why you're right about the
great player,
great player, and not good player.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I could also say, I don't know. There's a few players that you could say right there. I'll stick by it.
Name another one then. Mine. All right. Don't name it yet. Mine is Julius Peppers. Because Julius Peppers was a great player, and these stupid ass Panther fans. Sorry, I love y'all Panther fans, but y'all like butthurt that he didn't want to be part of this tragedy that was the 2009, 10, 11 Panthers. Julius Peppers, the man. His wife's booty is Hall of Fame.
Yeah, mine's still there. Mine was Cam.
Oh yeah, good. Okay, so and then you said Peppers. Okay, so now we're at good player, hated by fans. I think there's only a few people. There's only a few people that are even eligible for this. The name that I'm gonna go with is probably Greg Hardy.
That's mine.
No, it's not, because it's mine.
Oh, I agree with you so much.
Man, like he was such a good player, especially in 2013. The dude was balling. But yeah, after how he ended. Oh, you know what? That's another one.
I'm so gangster. I think that the hate for him is too hard.
I got one.
Oh, you know what? Now I feel mad because there's a better one that I should have said. I'm gonna wait to see if one of you say it.
There's some options here, but I gotta go. I almost hesitate to put him in this category, but Robbie Anderson.
I would put average player hated by fans.
I
would put average player hated by fans.
I don't disagree, but he was a good player 1 year for us. Like that 1 year, he was good. Either that or the guy who killed his pregnant girlfriend.
Oh, whoa.
No, but that'll be for later. We have more for later. Tony, what say you? Because there's one that
I thought Greg Hardy was my dude. Like I've been waiting for this. I said it on the radio on Friday. That was the one. Because
all right, I'm gonna give you another one then. You want another one?
Let me see. A good player hated by.
Yeah, there's really one that's other than Greg Hardy.
I got one, and it's not gonna be.
Other than Greg Hardy, there's only really one other player in my mind that could go right here.
All right. Well, mine would be Roman Harper. Mine would be Roman Harper, and he did endear himself to Panther fans, but I fucking hated Roman Harper for shoving Steve Smith after that big ass touchdown, dirty ass Saints, fucking headhunting on the Carolina Panthers players, trying to hurt them, and then he joined our team, and I actually turned out to like him. So it's like I hated him, and then I was like, all right, but who you got?
All right, y'all ready for this? A good player who is hated by fans is none other than D'Angelo Williams.
Ooh,
great one.
D'Angelo Williams. That was a great player. Had multiple Panthers running back records for a long time, but because of the way it ended and the way that he then talked trash about the players and the Panthers, and the fans.
Yeah, I agree.
He threw away all of his goodwill. He's undeniably a good player. But he is certainly hated by the fans.
All right. Yeah, you're wonderful. All right. So, average player loved by fans.
Average player loved by fans. Oh, all right. I'll go first. I would say Adam Thielen.
I think
Can
that's
you really say that he's a
I think that's a little rude. You're picking somebody who's got sunsetting on their career.
I think he's still a good player. I don't think.
I mean,
think
the
he's
same
like
with-
a
but,
great
no,
player.
but that's what we're talking about. Maybe he was a great player at one point for Minnesota. Right now, at the tail end of his career, and what he's been able to do for us, while the team has been so bad, I said that Adam Thielen is a good pick for right here.
I think that barring his injury that he had this year, dude would have had back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving for the Panthers. I think didn't he have 1,000 last year? I mean, the year before. I mean, his first year with us. I think that we're underselling. I think he should have been good, but I respect your position there. Tony, do you have somebody who would go here?
Some real good ones in the
Love
chat.
by fans. I would say average player, right? Average player loved by fans. I think I'm going to go Ted Ginn here.
Ted, that feels more disrespectful than mine.
No way. Ted Ginn
I don't
is
think
not,
he was a great
Ted Ginn was a burner when we had him, dude.
No,
he was a burner, but he also was like,
I would put him as a not good player, but loved by
What? Shut up, dude.
No, Cody, you cannot be.
No,
you
you're
cannot
not.
be this way.
Are you
Dude.
really going to say that Ted Ginn Jr. was not a good player? Like, he had drops.
No,
but
dude,
we picking the top off.
I think of it
Cody,
as
you
great
cannot,
average bad.
You cannot rewrite this. When we talk about 2015, the reason Cam Newton won the MVP is because we had no receivers.
Yeah.
And Ted Ginn was on our team.
He was the best receiver. Devin Funchess looked
That's what I'm
good,
saying,
man.
but the dude wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
And that dude was
Right, but he's
easily
not.
our number one
He
receiver.
was average.
That's exactly. He was average. That's what we're saying. We're not saying he's a bad player. We're saying that he's not good enough to be put in that good category.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's
if we're
why it
talking
should
about
be
this.
great. It should be a
If
great
anything,
category.
I would almost even say good player, but fans are divided.
No way.
Nah,
Nah.
people act
That
like
was
he was
good
a-
for a while, man.
So average player loved by fans. I personally would say AJ Klein.
Oh, great one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right,
Anybody, you know what? We love any. No offense, Black Twitter, Black X, Black YouTube, but we do like a white defensive player every now and then. I do anyway.
Is getting up in Philadelphia.
I'm like, oh shit, Anzalone.
But dude, you know what? I want
Are you Italian?
It seems like every NFL team is getting like a badass white defensive lineman, and I want one too, dude. That's all I want, Mason Graham.
I think Tim Estes is right.
I'm not
on
just
this.
Yeah.
Tim Estes is killing it. He said Jake Delhomme. And Al said Mike Tolbert.
That's a
I
rare
agree
one, being
100%.
an average player that's loved by fans, Jake.
Well, see, this is why good. It should be good and not great. It should be great, not good, because like Delhomme was good, but he wasn't great.
Yeah,
Mike, I'm with this with Mike Tolbert, bro. I'm the only Mike Tolbert. His mama blocked me on Twitter.
So here's what I think that this grid is. This is how I would interpret it. Is great is going to be where good is. Good is where average is, and your bad players are where the bad players are.
Right.
Like
Right,
I think that if we were to break it down and do like good, great, good, average, bad, very bad, then that would make sense.
We got Pep, we got Luke, we got Cam, we got the Hall of Famers.
Yeah. You got so I mean the good should be reserved for those top-notch people. Like in my mind, the average are still gonna be. I think those. If you're average, you're still good for the NFL.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
So I still think that's even though it says average here, I don't think that means a bad thing. I think that just means you're a good player. You're just not a what Cam would deem a game changer.
Also, when we get to average player and hated by fans, which is next, right? Every one of my favorite players are here.
Yeah. Wait, you said average player who is
fans.
Yeah, this is the Tony category. This is the Tony square. Cameron Payne, Jameer Byrd, fucking David Geddes. Sorry.
No, those are fans divided.
Are we in divided or hated?
We're in divided. We haven't done divided yet.
Okay.
So average player fans are divided.
Yeah.
Kelvin Benjamin.
I got you. Eddie Pinheiro.
No, dude. No one's even divided.
He's right. He is
No,
right.
who's defending Eddie Pinero?
Oh, do you remember when
Other
he
than
put the
CK?
mattresses over the statistics here?
The what?
Do you remember when CK said stats are stats, the numbers don't lie?
Oh,
Eddie's
they don't.
the greatest kicker in the history of the world. Ha ha ha! Average Eddie. Fans are divided, and you divided the podcast.
Hey, listen, I told you from the get-go, there's no part of me that believed that he was the best in the entire league. I said the stats are there, and I said, obviously, he's not better than Justin Tucker, but the stats are still valuable to be able to keep track of. And I said, and they're probably going to change by the end of the year, and he's probably going to drop out of this category before the end of the year. And what did he do? He dropped out of the category. So I still think that he's an average kicker that fans are divided on. I think when he misses that they hate him, but I do think that there are fans out there that still would like to have him back as the kicker. And that's why I put this in the fans divided.
So have I made mine yet? I don't think I've done average player that fans were divided on. Have I?
Yeah, I don't think you did that. No.
I'm going to say Josh Norman.
Yeah, good one.
I think
he had his best year in Carolina. Didn't do much else.
What about
he did have some seasons where people loved him as one of the best players on our team, and then other people will say he's a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
I think he might have been a good player. Fans are divided. But I agree with you. I understand. The chat, Panther Gal says Burns. Average
Burns
player.
is a good one.
I think that should be the Burns category.
Yeah.
Thomas
I
is
agree.
Steve Berline.
All right. Average
player hated by fans. I will say Calvin Benjamin.
I think if you're going to put Josh Norman in the, I'm sorry, not. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair. Yeah, I'd put him there.
Hated by fans?
Yeah, I'd put him hated by fans. Not. I'm saying if you're going to say Josh Norman, I was thinking I was thinking about it differently. But
To me, I said average player that fans are divided is Josh Norman, and then average player that is hated by fans, I would say Calvin
Benjamin. Yeah. No,
I have an average player loved by fans, Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Average player loved by fans, or hated by fans. Ooh,
yeah, hated by fans.
Hated by fans. Demir Bird.
White Chocolate gave me mine just now. Teddy Bridgewater.
That's a great one. Did you spell
that? Average player hated by fans. Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater's a good one.
He says divided, but I think it's hated.
Oh, what about Baker? No, we had the bottoms. Fans are divided.
So, but no, I think most people fell out the bottom on that. Like they were out of there. By the end of it, there was not love for, like, people were rooting for him to fail when he went to Los Angeles.
And I think you're right with Robbie becoming, he was an average, but he became hated by fans.
Yeah. Well, he did the whole walking off the field and, quitting on the team. When you see that happen, it's not a very good look.
All right.
Tyreek Hill, all that stuff.
Next is bad player loved by fans.
God, who's a bad player?
Bad player loved.
I made jokes. This is tough, man. If there's a bad player, it's hard to be loved by fans.
It has to be somebody that you had your preconceptions with.
Dude, this one's such a hard one. A bad player loved by fans.
I think.
That's a good one. Brenton Burson, Sunshine. Remember Brenton Burson? Terry Richardson's illegitimate son.
Yeah.
Shout out to Blackfire. That's a great one. That's like the only one that you can put right there.
No, we're gonna get somebody else. We're gonna get
Chris Winky.
Special teamer. It's gonna be There's got to be one more that's a bad player loved by fans.
Graham Gano.
No, he was good. Even though people hated him, he was good.
Oh, he hates it. Look at his face. He doesn't want to.
I hate
Dude's
all these.
Still in the league as a starting kicker. I mean, you don't last long unless you're good.
He is an average player that is.
He's still the Giants kicker.
Damn.
Every kicker since bad player loved by fans. You have to
I don't
have
think you could put
investment, pre-investment. I would have said Shaq. I know he's not. He's an average
player. Put him in the good category.
No, I would put him as an average category, but I just wanted him. The only way you're going to be a bad player in a loved by fans category is for you to have invested in that person before.
All right, I got one.
Don't say Jeff Ota.
No, Gerald McCoy. He was not good for us, but fans loved him.
Oh, what was the other one that we got that I like that guy a lot. He was a defensive tackle from Kansas City at the same year.
Tontari Poe.
Tontari Poe.
I don't know that he was loved though.
Nah, we gotta go somewhere and look. Bad player loved by fans.
Artist Payne, like your bastard son said.
Bullshit.
I just don't think he was a bad player because he didn't get enough opportunity.
I know. We gotta think somebody else like.
How about Philly Brown?
There's got to be a tight end that we thought. Oh, how about this? Ian Thomas. No, he was never loved.
No, he was never loved. What about Jericho Country?
Oh, what's his face that backed up? That was a backup. Webb, Joe Webb.
Oh yeah, Joe Webb.
Oh, you know what? I got you one. PJ Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one.
That's a good one. He might be a divided though, because there were a lot of arguments over PJ Walker.
Nah, everybody loved PJ because he
wouldn't
threw
say
that badass touchdown to.
No, PJ. Joe Webb is a great one.
Yeah,
nobody hated Joe Webb.
Oh,
I don't care what no one says. No one had a bad thing to say about Joe Webb.
Oh no, you know what? I was gonna say Al was on a roll. Vernon Butler might not have been good though.
No, everyone hated that dude. That was a bad player.
And I don't know if anybody loved. I did want to love him. I like that one. I like that. All right, fans, bad player fans are divided.
Oh gosh, this one.
It's gonna be a fucking tight end, dude, or a safety. But we almost need to think position groups.
Well, how about Dante Jackson?
Oh, yes. Great one.
Yeah, Dante Jackson.
I think Dante Jackson may own this square, to be honest with you.
I agree. All right, and hated by fans, bad player.
Hated by fans.
There's only a few.
I got a couple.
I got mine right now. I got mine.
There's a couple there.
Matt Khalil.
Oh, that was my second one. That was my second one. Matt Khalil was I fucking hate that dude.
I think that one has almost goes to some.
This is an irony right here, CK. Is that Matt Khalil is in the bottom right square, and Ryan Khalil is in the top left square.
Yeah, I agree.
Thomas DeVrice is
mine is Byron Bell.
Yeah, that's what Blackfire says. Jimmy Clausen.
It's a good one to put there.
Ray Caruth.
Yeah.
I think this square is
bad player hated by fans.
I think the people that are like legitimately like when you're talking about hated by fans, I think this square has to be reserved for players that were either highly drafted or came here on a high contract in free agency.
How about this? Miles Sanders could
Miles Sanders would fit there.
I think he's average. I would say bad player fan. Ooh, yeah. Actually, I'd put him in the square.
Yeah.
Mike Remmers.
Mike Remmers is like, but here's the thing: he wasn't a bad player for us for the most part. He just had like that Super Bowl. He decided to have his worst game against
How about
Hall of
this?
Famers.
That would be a good one for average player hated by fans.
Yes, that would be a good one because what Mike Rimmer's problem was, CK, is that, and I've said, go check the receipts, is he hit a wall around week 12, and he signed a big deal with the Vikings the next year.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a bad player, but around week 13, 14, 15, you know what I mean?
He
It was just
always
like
falls off.
It was just too long of a season for him.
Yeah.
All right. Dude, that was fun.
I know. I like that. I found this. I thought this
I
was
think
really
some
good.
other ones that could be up there. Good player, loved by fans, Moose. I want to, you know what? I want to add a category as good, average, bad players that no one remembers. So, like Chris Jenkins was a good player at defensive tackle that no one remembers.
What about the Legadoo guy?
That was just because Cam hit him in the
What was his name? Legadoo,
playoffs.
Demornay or something? What was his name? Chat?
Dwayne Jarrett is a great one. Bad player hated by fans. You should have a bad player hated by fans because we had high expectations for you. And I swear on the Bible right now that I believe that Dwayne Jarrett was a bad player in the NFL because he was dumb. And that's the meanest thing you could say. That mug was just ignorant. And I could just imagine those huddles. Imagine Steve Smith saying, "You so fucking stupid, bro."
Yeah, Legadoo, Nene or Nene Legadoo. That guy.
He was a good one. I was thinking,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a few that you could put in a couple of different ones here, man.
All right. That was fun. I love this one. Kristen Butler says Kirk Coleman, average player, loved by fans.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's true. I do love some Kirk Coleman.
I think what we do when we think of Josh Norman, when we think of that 2015 team, is there were a lot of average players that played really well. Like, if you think of Jericho Cotchery was a good player. He was a good player. Like, he was fucking dealing with the Jets, but he was just pretty good, not great.
Yeah.
But think about that, is that you had on that team Trey Boston, you had Jericho Cotchery, you had Ted Ginn, Philly Brown. Where is he at here? Is he
probably?
I
would say. I don't know. I would say he's either a bad player where fans are divided or an average player.
Yeah, I think he's average.
Nobody hated Philly Brown, you know.
Yeah, and where would we put Brady Christensen on this list?
I would say good
average player. Fans are divided.
Yeah, I would even say good player, man.
Yeah.
Stop.
He's not a bad player.
That's why we need to say great. All right. Tim Batuka, important one because, again, draft status affects this. I think bad player fans are – I wouldn't even say fan. I want to know where Devin Funchess goes on this bunch. I almost want to do this. Maybe we'll do this halfway through the season, Cody. File this away as an exercise where we do a draft class. Why don't we do that each week in the off season when we're in that dead zone? We take a draft class and we put them in this good player, average player, like we put them in this grid. And we try to figure out, what do you think about Cameron Artis-Payne? What do you think about Devin Funchess? Where do they fit in here? All right, you're listening to the longest running Panthers podcast. And when I say that, bro, we've been doing this shit since 2013. That's right. No misses. No misses. We might move it around a little bit every now and then, make sure we complete the cycle. But we committed, just like y'all are committed. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe, be a part of the community. We're about to hit that time where we need you more than ever. And you're part of our family. Cody, what do we got? Oh, we got some more stuff to talk about, right?
Well, I mean, this is it. We're talking about the final the final playoff games of the year before we get to the Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills heading to Kansas City to once again try and dethrone the Chiefs. And you have the Washington Commanders and the rookie wonder and Jaden Daniels looking to dethrone the team with probably the best
team in the NFL.
offensive line, the best offensive and defensive line in the NFL.
The Eagles are the best team in the NFL, in my opinion.
I think that there's one glaring difference is they do not have a quarterback that is a game changer right now.
You don't think Jalen Hurts a game changer?
Dude, if you've watched him this year, the dude has not been at all an asset to that team. They have won in spite of Jalen Hurts.
I would trust Jaden Daniels more than I trust Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You mean ass motherfuckers.
No, it's just the way that he's playing, dude.
The most rounded team in the NFL.
You said what?
I think the Eagles are the most rounded.
They're the most. They can control games because they have Saquon Barkley.
I don't think it's just that. I think they have a defense, they have an offense, they have a quarterback that can do it. I don't want to hear this about the Lions had this best offense and they had Jared Goff. I don't think that having Jared Goff is any more of an asset or a liability than having Jalen Hurts.
I think I wouldn't disagree with that, but I also think that you got to keep in mind the Lions have been all year have been absolutely decimated on defense, and it showed up against the Commanders.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the Eagles are all around a better. I've been saying this all season. I think that the Eagles are really the best team in the NFL. Do I think they're going to win? I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like if I'm looking,
I'm not picking the Commanders here, bro. I'm rooting for them.
I think they lost to. I think we're in a situation like we were in 2017, where people would say that it's really hard to win against the same opponent 3 times in the year. And so I think that, even though that didn't go well for us, I think the Commanders break that curse. Right now, Jaden Daniels there's not been a moment too big for him.
Yeah. I'm predicting that it's going to be a great game, but I think in the end, Jaden Daniels is going to put it on his back, and he's going to be the first rookie quarterback to take his team
to go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, dude. How awesome would that be?
Would he be the first rookie to ever go to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, there's never been a rookie quarterback to start a Super Bowl.
All right. Well, I think I'm picking the Eagles. I'm rooting for the Commanders in a way. I've been Team Eagles. These playoffs, what a storyline. Either way, if the Lions would have come here against the Eagles, I would have been rooting for the Lions. Then I don't know who I'm rooting for, but let's go to the AFC.
Well, y'all know who I'm rooting for. I'm Bills all the way, baby. I want Buffalo.
Commanders.
That's
Bills,
fine to root for it, but can we not set up a better matchup?
What, dude? I just want to. What do you mean in the
NFC? The NFL is scripted.
What do you mean in the NFC or they're just in the playoffs in general?
No, the AFC.
I mean, dude, I feel like right now Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen is the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning of all.
Yeah, dude, this is legendary. It's almost to the point that where the AFC Championship is
the real Super Bowl.
Yes, is the game that we want
to
watch.
Like if you were to list the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL, they're pretty much all landing on the AFC side of the ball right now of the NFL. Like I'm not saying that you're like if you were to rank top 10, like you're going Josh Allen, you're going Lamar Jackson, you're going Patrick Mahomes, you're going Joe Burrow, you're going Herbert, and then you might start adding in Jaden or I don't know. Stroud. Oh yeah, Stroud you have over there.
Yeah, who would you add from the NFC?
I mean, Jaden Daniels right now. You'd have to based on his year this year. I think Jared Goff still deserves a spot in that top 10 role.
All the best young quarterbacks are in the AFC. That's for sure.
Well, the future of the NFL right now.
Oh, what in the NFC?
In the AFC.
Well, all the best quarterbacks are in the AFC. Period.
Yeah.
No, they are.
That's the point.
So who you got?
Yeah, no, I'm taking Buffalo and the Commanders.
I'm rolling with Buffalo too.
Yeah, I think
I don't think that. I mean, I think. Where is it at? Is it going to be in Kansas?
It's in Kansas City,
you know what? Nah, I'm going Kansas City. Man, they can't be defeated, bro.
So what? Is it just going to be another Kansas City, Philadelphia Super Bowl?
Hey,
yes.
Hey, no, let's talk about something. What was the Kansas City's record this year?
15-2.
One of those losses was the last game of the season that they were sitting their other teams, all their players. You know what the one loss was, boys? The Bills.
The Bills.
Bills. And here's the thing. All year, Kansas City has not won, for the most part, has not won convincingly at all. Now, they are doing a really good job of dragging their opponents down to their level and making them play ugly football, right? The Bills did not fall for that. They did not fall that way. They ended up, they showed them, and they didn't show up in a way that was like, okay, they won by a score. They showed up in a convincing manner and beat the Chiefs. I think the Bills going to take this home. They're going to the Super Bowl. I think that the Chiefs are just too questionable on their offense and defense. I don't know that I can't trust them right now.
What? So your picks for the Super Bowl. Who's going to the Super Bowl? Say it one more time.
I think Commanders and Bills.
Wow. Cody?
Yeah, Bills, Commanders.
I'm saying Chiefs, Eagles. And look, I mean, all right.
We're the wishful thinking. You're the logic.
Right.
Yeah.
What we got? One last segment.
Oh, that's it. Dude, ain't shit left to do.
We got to ice some fools up.
Yeah, that is true. We got to ice some fools up.
You're listening to the longest running Panthers podcast, where every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective each and every week. The longest running segment on the longest running podcast, we ice some fools up. We tell them to toughen up, to get it together. It's an homage to a great player that's beloved by fans in Steve Smith. Cody Lack, let's ice some fools up.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our homage to Steve Smith. Snatch that chain, bitch. Ice up, son. Cody, what you got for us?
So I have two. They're very, very short, very, very quick. So everybody probably knows the inauguration was going down. And so all the tech bros were at the inauguration. Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. But Jeff Bezos and his wife were there. And apparently, like, they have some sort of kink where she likes to be as sexy as possible in, like, non-sexy places. So she wears like a bralette to the inauguration.
Oh, she's the one. Who is that?
Yeah, this is Jeff Bezos' new wife, or his fiance, soon to be wife. She's at the inauguration. She has like some Victoria's Secret bralette thing, and dude, look at everybody just staring.
Hell yeah! Why are you icing that up?
No, I'm icing up like, why are you wearing that shit to an inauguration?
Look at really, is this how that picture? Look at this.
It's like, it's funny because like the picture makes it look that way. It's legitimately not that way. Like if you watch it in real time, you notice that it's not these guys.
I've been like,
they were checking out
them titties,
Zuckerberg probably, but old boy in the back, there is no angle boy has on those.
He's like,
he's trying.
I like your beautiful chin, your golden.
That's hilarious, dude. Yeah, and okay, so that was my first ice up. This one will be fast. Shout out to the mayor of Philadelphia.
Oh, this was mine. Go ahead.
Who doesn't know how to spell Eagles.
ELGSES Eagles!
Eagles!
Yeah, you did it.
Let's go, Birds! ELGSES Eagles!
Yeah, you nailed it, dude. You don't even need to spell to be a mayor in Philadelphia. So I thought, get your act together. That's it.
That was my pick.
Eagles one?
Yeah, that was mine.
Nice.
All right, so I'm gonna do this one. Hold on. I gotta share this. Hold on. Let me get it back. All right, hold on. Presents. You took the good one. Now I gotta go raunchy, bro.
All right, I'm into it. Don't get this demonetized.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But guess what? We made $4 tonight, so it's fine. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So this tweet is, it said something to the effect of his bro got knocked out when he found his girl cheating.
Steven, no. What the you mean? Steven, why aren't you at work? Emily, what the
Is this real?
I don't know.
You need to go. Steven, I'm so sorry. Emily, what the okay, stop. I'm so sorry. Bro, who the is this guy?
Sounds like it's a girl on girl and she's getting beat.
What you doing here, bro? Stop. Oh, you got him in my... I'm sorry. I knew you.
This is fake.
I don't care.
Can you please, bro? Leave. Lamar, leave.
Listen to the way my man handles it.
Okay,
Cool. Hey, this is not my
Go, bro. Go,
night. Look,
Dude, this is fake. There's no way this shit is real.
Yelling,
I don't care.
you knock my boyfriend out. Like you
I
can
don't
tell right
care.
then and there.
but I'm gonna say,
Yeah, dude.
nah, I don't care about this. It's like, at first, I think every video we watch on the internet is fake.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Like, that's my pre-go to it. But there is a time. There was this one moment in the video where the guy was like this. He was like, I'm sorry. I don't know. Like, this is between y'all. I was just doing my thing. I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? In fairness to that mug, like the problems are on the people that were making the problems. He was just getting his,
Yeah.
you know.
Also,
you know what I'm saying? But then
Mr. Fry's got a good point. Like, when's the last time you did it under the sheets?
That's
it. It can be cold sometimes.
Dude,
Man,
that was the oldest dude thing that you've ever said, man.
Nah, I mean, like we had some covers up on top of
Do
this.
you wear your socks too?
Hell no. That's rule number one. Gotta go.
Okay, all right.
My point is this: is that guy? Look, if you walk up on your old lady cheating, two things are gonna happen. Like, I felt like that guy was like, "Look, it's like this is between y'all," and it really is. Like, if you cheating on somebody, that's between y'all because the other person just happened to be getting the kill. Right? Like, they're a dog. They did this. But you can't be more mad at them. But then when you step to someone,
and you get knocked out in your own room,
you gotta be ready, bro. You gotta be ready. You can't big time somebody and get knocked the fuck out.
No,
So
that's
I'm saying that is nice up to this. It's like, if you're gonna big dog somebody, you be ready. You ready to knock someone out, you better be ready to get knocked out. And if you get knocked out, you might need a win.
Man.
Ice up.
Because
you took my pick, but continue.
Yeah. All right. So I'll go. Man, this is an opportunity for us to always get political, right? So mine, I guess there's going to be two pieces to this. Obviously, it would be hard not to talk about the elephant in the room, and that being the inauguration that took place yesterday. Well, as you guys may have heard on CNN and the likes, Trump had pardoned all the January 6thers, or at least some of them, with there being a kind of an asterisk around some of them saying like we need to look further into it, and if there's a violent crime, we're not pardoning them for beating up a police officer. But nonetheless, it's that's the headlines on CNN, right? Trump pardons in his first day this many. Not a single article on the front page about Biden pardoning people.
8,000? I heard it was 8,000 or something. 800.
No, not listen, Tony. He didn't just pardon 8,000 people. He pardoned his entire family.
The General Massey dude. He pardoned Fauci.
Pardoned
Fauci.
They're all Fauci, totally innocent.
And he pardoned the January 6th committee that was investigating this and basically was able to, kind of move forward with the, charges against those people. And it's a wild thought because it's not just like we're pardoning you for a specific action. It is a sweeping pardon.
Like it.
Anything that took place since 2014, Tony. So for a 10-year span,
I want to be pardoned for my whole life, bro.
So, but here's the thing: I'm icing up the hypocrisy of any frustration or any outrage over the fact that Trump is pardoning January 6ers when that same outrage is completely not reserved for the equal, if not worse, pardoning of people for actions you don't even know if they've taken yet. There's probably somebody of those
forever pardoned. That's what I want. That's what Jesus
think about
did.
that. How many of those people like
that?
To believe that not one of them was capable of murder in 10 years is wild. Like all of them could possibly come out and say, "Yeah, I did it," and now they're good. It's a wild prospect. Anyway, my second one is the unfortunate motion that Elon Musk made during his. That looked like it was, a hail, right? A howl. And if you listen to it, a lot of people,
autism, bro.
He's and he was talking about my heart goes out to you, right? It was unfortunate because the dude clearly was excited, and you could tell from the moment he got on the stage. And so I'm telling him to ice up because he set the internet ablaze as though he was some neo-Nazi who was actually supporting Israel somehow.
Tell the lefters though, and hey, I'm not a writer or a lefter. I hate everybody equally.
Yeah.
But
now you're on my side.
Yeah, I am on your side on this. But you know what? You're making fun of an autistic person. Elon Musk is on the spectrum. He just happens to be like Rain Man on the shit.
If you have Asperger's, I mean, obviously the dude's incredibly intelligent.
Right.
So he's great at. So look, he's great at rockets.
You're making fun of somebody who is
public speaking isn't necessarily his jam, dude. You know what I mean? Like that guy is. I don't know.
I thought he was tagging on people.
But then I'm
the
hearing
moment I saw it, I was like, oh god, there's gonna be some tweets.
Oh yeah. But dude, I'm already starting to see
what they want to find to hate everyone.
I'm already starting to see things that I don't like either. So, dude, both sides suck, man.
Oh no,
Kill your heroes.
Well, you're never going to get 100% of everything you want out of any politician whatsoever. And I think that like we were in a honeymoon phase there for a little bit with many people, and I think you start to realize like. You're not going to get everything you ever wanted. But like you're going to have disagreements. Even if you voted for Trump, you're going to have a disagreement with whatever he does.
Oh yeah, fuck the man. That's what I say. And the fact that you're pardoning Fauci, that says something to me.
Yeah, why are you doing that if he's not fucking guilty of doing some shit?
I don't know what he's guilty of. I didn't even think he was guilty of anything but this. I'm anti-status. I hate big government. I don't say I hate big government. I work for the fucking state of North Carolina, mug. Taxpayers pay my paycheck, but I don't trust the fact after the pandemic, folks, that the CDC I thought was the most trustworthy institution. Like now I don't trust anybody. Like now I'm just like, you trying to take my money.
Yeah.
You just trying to take my money. So you know what? Fauci, the pardoning Fauci.
Now that was
what
Biden who did that.
Send him to jail for?
Yeah, I mean, you understand that was Biden that pardoned him, right?
Right.
Yeah,
but think about like why you pre-pardoned him in case
But and a
pardoned
few
his
of the
brother
people,
for doing his job.
a few
Yeah.
of the people that Joe Biden pardoned came out and said that I wish he hadn't, because
now it makes me look guilty.
yeah, because it makes me look guilty. I have to defend myself against nothing.
Okay,
You
give
should
me
have
a
to stop.
pardon.
You should have to.
I
agree
want
to
a
pardon.
lifelong pardon, Joe.
But also another thing
I'll
about it though, in 2020, before Joe Biden got into office, everybody was worried and crying about how Donald Trump was going to do all these preemptive pardons, and they were so how anti-American, how anti-justice it is.
And
now Biden did the same thing.
They're
and
all
they're
fucked
fucking
up.
thing,
Cody,
dude.
you've
They're all
been saying it
hypocrites.
from the beginning.
The-
You've
the-
been saying it from the beginning. It's like y'all can listen to this podcast and you can think that somebody has a nah. We don't like any of these mugs.
They all suck.
So
they don't care
here's-
about you or your families.
Here's where you start to really, think about what is real and what isn't. And so, Cody will remember this because I think you're an Office fan. There was an episode of The Office. I think it was called The Secret, and Michael Scott learned of a secret, and he started to tell everybody about it. And when he realized that it was an actual secret that could ruin a marriage, his solution to that was to tell a bunch of fake secrets to cover up the real secret. And why that's a irrelevant story here is if you were Joe Biden and you wanted to say, I want to make sure that if I pardon somebody, it doesn't make them look guilty. But what are you going to do? You're going to pardon every fucking person you know.
8,000 people.
Yeah, 8,000 people. And so all of a sudden, this idea of you pardoning people that were guilty, it's like, is all 8,000 of them guilty? Odds are no. But there's a few. And you
I don't
need
know
good luck
what's going
sifting through
on.
who that is.
I don't know what's going on in the world, and I don't think I know who is right or wrong, but I do know we're here on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. And I know we just come correct. And when I say correct, it might not be what you want to hear, but we come from our hearts, from our souls, from a right place of just talking about the shit that we love. I hang out with my homies, Cody, CK, Greg. We love you, miss you. Prayers up to my sister, her husband, his health. Prayers, and I don't say I hate that prayers up. I actually, anytime I say a prayer up, I actually pray for you. If I ever say I hate a prayer up thing, but if I ever tell you I pray for you, bro. Like, look, there's so many people in this community that mean so much to me that check in on me. D from Sanford checks in on me. He's like, yo, what's good? Nick Montero checks in. And it's nothing big. It's just you, my homies. Y'all too, my homies, my brothers. I love y'all.
Love you, bro.
I love the Panthers, I guess. I mean, I do love the Panthers. I do love them. But look, I love hanging out with you guys. 252-228-1598 is the number. We ain't going to get your call tonight, but we'll get it next week. Cody Lack, what do you want to say to take us out of here?
C3 Legion, we love you until this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. where we will do another Friday free-for-all. My name's Cody Lashney. That's Tony Dunn, the professor.
Fuck the Falcons.
The voice that makes them moist. Cody Dizzle Allen. C3, we love y'all. Have a great night. Keep pounding.